Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Truce Talks. We're talking primarily to business owners that I know and respect and admire. And today we're talking to Jeff Malkoon, who is the CEO developer spirit behind PB Americano. It's a local company that has quite an exhaustive reach now. And it's been an interesting ride, hasn't it, Jeff? Welcome aboard. Good to see you.
Great to see you, Diane.
We were talking earlier with some other people that we hear a lot from the big businesses and the big politicians. We don't hear that much from just the people who have small businesses that have been really kind of impacted by the recent pandemic. But I want you to share with everyone how you got started. Why peanut butter?
Well, that's the question. And really, Diane, this all started about 7 years ago when I was living in South America in a country called Uruguay. And I was working with a nonprofit down there doing emergency housing construction projects and building homes. And noticed that peanuts were being grown in the neighborhoods, but also noticed bizarrely that it was difficult to find peanut butter on store shelves. And this disconnect created sort of a mystery that I felt drawn to solve. And it led me down the path of starting a nut butter company that essentially caters a bit better to the palates of folks around the world.
So there was no peanut butter on the shelves in Uruguay, or no Uruguayan peanut butter on the shelves here?
Well, both. I think true on both counts. There was no peanut butter on the shelves in Uruguay. If you were lucky, you could find a jar of Skippy on the shelf for around $15, the equivalent of 15 US dollars. So doesn't meet the palates. Traditional U.S. peanut butter doesn't meet the palates of folks in parts of the world like this, and certainly didn't meet the budgets of folks. And I just thought, maybe there's a way that we can do better and get something as nutritious and as beneficial nutritionally to folks as peanut butter better into the hands of folks in other parts of the world.
So you began making it initially in Uruguay? Making your peanut butter there, or were you bringing the nuts back? Or what were you doing?
I did. I sort of lost my mind for this idea while I
Don't
was
we all?
living in Uruguay. And I said, I'm starting this company right here, right now, and began grinding peanuts in my apartment in Montevideo. And that's where it all began.
Wow. And so how did you make the leap back from Montevideo to Phoenix, Arizona? What precipitated that shift?
Well, ultimately, I was on a backpacking trip at the time.
Really?
I was. Wow. I just graduated, so I'd been at university for 6 years at this point, and I was taking a bit of a break, contemplating whether I wanted to apply to law school or go another route. And really, this was a life-changing experience for me. But I was on a backpacking trip, and I was down there with a good friend of mine, and he kind of, grabbed me by the shirt and he said, "Jeff, we're going back to the U.S. I'm not leaving you in Uruguay, and we're continuing this backpacking trip." So we continued along, and I'm glad we did, because as we continued to travel, I realized that this challenge I saw with the peanut was really a broader economic challenge across the continent, with other crops as well, like the coffee bean and roses and all sorts of different commodities, where there's a lot more money in exporting the commodity to places like the United States than in the local communities consuming them themselves. And so they tend to go for more cheaper goods while they export the more nutritious commodities to us. And so it's a broader problem that I recognized across the continent, came back to the US, and now run this company, co-own this company with my sister, Denise, my business partner.
Whom I've met on numerous occasions, and I'm glad you guys are still together cranking it out. So do you bring the peanuts up from Uruguay?
We've gone both ways. Currently, our products are 100% U.S. made. So we're bringing peanuts in from West Texas and almonds in from Central California. and doing all of the roasting, all of the production right here in downtown Phoenix in Arizona. And so we've gone both directions. Ultimately, returning to South America has become a long-term trajectory for us.
Hmm.
And in the meantime, we've continued to work with the NGO that I was building homes with in Uruguay all those years ago. And at this point, we've contributed enough funding. Well, I should say our customers have contributed enough funding through the purchase of our products to um, fund over 22 emergency homes for folks across the continent, which we're really proud of. So I think we're at 24 now.
That's fantastic. So that is your mission, in addition to having the most nutritious and the best tasting peanut butter, is to establish housing in South America for low-income people, for people who don't have housing.
Well, that is
Yeah.
the mission of this NGO. The NGO is called Techo. Their original name is Un Techo para mi país, a bit longer, which means a roof for my country. They're what I
Oh,
refer to as the Latin equivalent of Habitat for Humanity,
yeah.
and just do wonderful work in 19 countries. They were founded in Santiago, Chile, about 20 years ago by Chilean Jesuit priests and university students at the University of Santiago, and quickly expanded across the continent, providing both emergency housing construction services in conjunction with the families that are going to live in those homes, who actually
Hmm.
help to build the house that they're going to live in, but also social services and job training, language training programs in communities across Latin America. So we've continued to support their work. More broadly, we just support economic development across the Americas, including here in the United States.
That's a terrific mission.
Mhm.
But when you came back, so you didn't go to law school.
No,
You didn't do that.
no, I didn't even apply. This was such a life changing experience for me. While I was sleeping on a dirt floor in the outskirts of Montevideo, and I just had this realization that I wanted to continue supporting the work that this group was doing, the beautiful work they were doing, and my life became about finding a way to do that when I returned to the States. Ultimately,
And now your products are available at a number of grocery stores in the Phoenix area, and you're growing.
we
Yeah,
are,
yeah.
yes, yeah, we've grown significantly. So this all started at one farmers market, Phoenix Public Market in
Yeah,
downtown Phoenix.
where we started. Yeah.
Yeah, is it really?
Oh, yeah.
I did not know
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
It's a great incubator launch pad. Yeah,
Oh,
that's where we
absolutely.
started in 2008.
Wow, that's so cool. So we're following in your your footsteps, Diane. But it really is a great incubator.
It is. You know right away if you've got a product. You
Yes,
know, they'll tell you, I
yes,
bought your product and I loved it, or I bought your product and my God, it doesn't work, you know.
sure.
But that tells you right off the bat, you got a product. You got a product.
Well, we brought it to the market and we sold out the very first day,
Yeah.
and that was a great indicator. And we realized we started getting requests from other farmers markets, and so we expanded. And at this point, we've attended over 2,000 street markets and festivals across the Southwest in the past several years. So we just really blew up in that direction, and bringing fresh products straight to consumers across the Southwest. But we've also expanded into grocery stores, and our products are carried in a little over 1,000 retail locations at this point.
Oh, that's fantastic. And you also broadened your product line. You've now got a white chocolate peanut butter that I literally almost have to lock it up, and I'm allowed to get it once a week at a certain time. You have the most amazing line of peanut butters I think I've ever seen, tasted, and loved. Thank
Wow.
you.
Hey, wow. Thank you, Diane. Thank
Yeah,
you. What a
yeah.
compliment.
So how has this pandemic hit you? Has it hit you? Is it just what's happening to you during this time of sequestration of stay in the house, wear masks? How are you doing?
Well, I think it's hit all of us in a sense. It's just massive and unavoidable and unprecedented, and no one really has a map and we're trying to lead in spite of that
Hmm.
fact. And it's a challenge, no matter what business or organization you're running. So it's hit us in that sense. Specifically, it did hit the food industry, mostly on the food
Yeah.
service side. We saw all of the events that we tend to do in the months of March and April and May, when the weather is wonderful in this part of the world, go to zero, including our work with Major League Baseball, all of the spring training facilities with various hospitals like the Mayo Clinic and different museums, cafes, restaurants, all basically to zero on that side of things. So what's carried us has been the retail side of things, the grocery store
Hmm.
side of things, online, direct to consumers.
Were you able to get any support from the government? Any of these loans that were going around in the CARES program?
Sure.
Good.
To be honest, we've submitted a number of applications in different
Hmm.
directions as they've come to us from
Hmm.
some of our advocacy groups that we're members of, like LFA. And
Local First Arizona.
yes,
Yes.
and who's just been wonderful. But the director of Local First called us a few weeks ago and asked if there was anything Local First could do to support us during this time. And my response was, please just make sure that the cafes and restaurants and these other businesses that we work in support of come back. That's the main thing.
Yeah, there was an article in this morning's Arizona Republic, El Zocalo, which is a Mexican restaurant, been around for 20 plus years in Chandler, is closing. It's
Wow.
just like, wow,
Right.
God, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and the thing I don't understand, we were talking about it over coffee. If if these restaurants go out of business, a lot of the times their rents are being jacked up during this period if you don't get some relief. Who's going to come in? I mean, we need these restaurants. We need to be able to get the things we love. And I'm so delighted that you're in grocery stores, because at least I know where I can get your peanut butter. There's no other peanut butter like yours. I give the dogs for dog treats. It's Skippy that I get at Costco, and I plug it into their Kong. Right? They do not get PB Americano, but every now and then, if they know I'm out there doing something with it, they'll come out. And if they wait long enough, somebody gets to lick a finger because and there's just all the difference in the world. They just go crazy. They just go crazy. So it's not just
Love it.
people, it's everybody. I think we could bribe anyone, any animal, probably horses, with that stuff. It's
Right.
so good. So going forward out of the pandemic, have you been able to hang on to most of your crew? Is it everybody still online with you? Have you?
Mostly we have. We saw anything that was marketing, like demo tasting related at
Yeah,
the various grocery stores, go to zero. That was
right.
prohibited. And so that side of things definitely took a hit. Our production slowed as the result of food service slowing down. And so we did see some of the production team get furloughed. But we were quickly able to pull anyone who's furloughed out of furlough and to bring in some larger orders on the retail side. One of the groups that helped with that is Big Lots. So we've attracted some
Oh,
sort of
great.
top line groups like Big Lots and others who came in with some very, very good orders for us and put us all back to work. So
So does that mean that perhaps Big Lots here locally is carrying your peanut butter? I,
it should be on the shelves within
all right.
the next month. We're headed into, I believe, 600 Big Lots locations across the
Oh
country.
God, that's fantastic, because
Yeah,
they've really expanded their food offerings. That's my go-to place for garden things.
is
And
it
yeah,
okay?
oh yeah, and I've been checking it out. They also have terrific like decorative pillows and things. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I
Well,
love Big Lots. It's a great store.
Well, I believe
That's
they,
a
they
great
they
place.
do enough business in the food side of things that
They
they were able
do,
to remain open through all of this and as sort of as a grocery location.
as an essential business. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. That's fantastic.
yeah.
So when you say, are you doing production, you're doing it locally? Are you doing it yourself? Do you have your own line, production line and everything going on?
Yes, we do. We built
Wow.
out our own production line right here in downtown Phoenix.
Wow.
Really had to because
Hmm.
of the products we work with being in
Yeah.
nut butter, being in a bit of an allergy concern. It's difficult to find contract packaging
I
space,
love
and so
that.
we've had to take over our own production more or less. And we use some contracted labor, but we
Hmm.
invested in our entire own equipment line and are running production ourselves, which we're really excited about. So
That's also really, really smart. We kind of depend, we do depend on contract packaging. And during this particular phase, we've been really challenged because it's hard to get ingredients because we don't control it anymore. And that we're looking at that again and going, hey, should we go? They call it vertical when you control your own
yes.
production. And we've done it in the past and we loved it. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a time of change. It's a
It's hard
time
to
of
hold
great
on. It's
change.
hard to hold on to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
It is a
so
time of great change. Diane, if on that note, if there were something that one piece of information you wish that you knew before you went down the path that you're on, uh, what is that piece of information? Something you've
I think speaking today from today's pandemic perspective,
Mhm.
I wish I had known to get everything chemically tested early on because now everyone wants to know how effective is this against COVID. And we've been tested against some things, but not as much as we need to. And now everybody's testing. So we have like an 8-week wait for a chemist to test us for virus effectiveness. And it's
Wow.
slowing us.
Sure.
Um, I think if I had known then what I know now, I wouldn't had, I don't know if I would have committed to 13 years. It's been a long time, but I
Sure.
also learned that I can't give it up. I
Mm,
just, I really do genuinely love the products as I know you do. And when you feel that way, you're in, you're in. It's long term. And so that's,
absolutely.
there are really, there are a lot of things. Should we have done this and not that? But we're doing a lot of those conversations now, and under the umbrella of pivot, we've got to change.
Right.
We're not going to be having, I don't think, as many products coming out of the pandemic as we had going in. I think we're going to really streamline to a tremendous extent for a while because it's,
As an organization, Truce is
yeah,
going to. Okay.
yeah, yeah. As a company, we've been able to ride through. We've been diversified. Nobody's in the warehouse except for Kyle, who does the shipping and manages the warehouse. But beyond that, we've all been homebound. How
Wow.
about you?
Okay. A little of both. We've had to spend some time in the production
Yeah,
facility as
yeah,
things continued moving, but we've tried to maintain distancing and to quarantine as much as possible, especially during the early
mm-hmm.
days when there's just so much uncertainty, and this just hit like a ton of bricks,
Didn't it? Didn't it?
all of us. So it's not, we're just feeling privileged to be in business, to be doing business. This isn't good for anyone. Even if you fared through this thing, you're likely working with other businesses that are depend on you, that you're dependent on, because
Yeah,
that's the way this ecosystem works.
yeah.
And if it's not good for them, it's not good for you. So just a challenging, really unprecedented time in my life,
Mm-hmm.
my lifetime.
Mm-hmm. I think in just about everybody living, I don't know too many people who survived the 1918 and are still here. But
Right.
we have the books about it, and we know what happened.
Sure.
And books about the plague, the Black Plague, and things like that are selling out. Movies like uh, the Dustin Hoffman one where there's a contagion.
Yes. Outbreak.
But yeah, and so it's what I think I find most interesting is the people that I see in places without masks. I got to go
Sure,
grocery shopping. I got to do what everybody else does, and it's like I'm really surprised at the resistance to masks. I
sure,
don't get it because this is a scary thing. This is really scary,
sure.
you know. So what's your dream? What's your goal? What's your long-term goal?
Our long-term goal is, if I had to name one goal, is to essentially be a type of, and I hate this comparison, but a type of Nutella
Hmm.
spread, and
Hmm.
to expand into other parts of the world the way that Nutella came to the United States.
Hmm.
Um, but to provide something that's more nutritious and more socially beneficial, because that's part of our mission.
I don't know of another peanut butter company that's doing what you're doing, and I don't know another peanut butter company that has the quality, the flavor that your product has. I would think of all the peanut butter companies I know that would try to go abroad, say into Europe, France. I'm married to a Frenchman, he's our CEO.
Yes.
Yours is the only peanut butter he eats. That's it. You know, if there's no PB Americano around, he's not really interested. He's definitely a Nutella person because that's what Europe eats.
Mhm.
Go for it. Go for it.
Right.
Who knows? Maybe one day he'll help you get in there. Who knows? Depending on
Well,
what the world's going to be like on the other side, you know?
sure, sure. Well, the big question is whether you can scale the way that they did
Yeah.
with a nutritious product, with
Yeah.
something that isn't basically sugar and oil. With much better margins than the business that we're in, providing a good for you product with real, whole ingredients and healthy ingredients in it. But we're excited, and we're giving it our best shot. We're attending our first food shows in Latin America at the end of this year in 2021, which we're very excited about. Our labels are being translated into a couple other languages currently, and
Wow.
we're working with the Exim Bank and the SBA on backing as we really look at this exporting direction. So
And isn't there an organization here in Arizona that helps you out with going international, with international marketing and things? There's an
there
organization.
there are a number of amazing
Yeah,
organizations and resources here in Arizona. One that we've worked closely with is the Arizona Commerce Authority.
that's what I was thinking of, the Commerce Authority, right on.
Yes, yeah, which actually we had plans to attend a food show in Guadalajara, Mexico, actually in March. It's been postponed to October now, and we're going on our own. And the Commerce Authority caught wind of this and gave us a call and said, "Hey, we heard you're." They said, "We heard you're attending the show. Would you be interested in uh, working with us to attend the show, and we'll help cover some of the costs?"
Wow.
And so, of course, we said yes. And there are other groups that do this too, like WSADA, which you may be familiar with.
Mhm.
Which is the Western Alliance of, it may be a food organization
Yeah.
of I think it's agricultural manufacturers, and they will come in and provide funding for export activities and food shows that you might want to attend in other parts of the world. So it's really interesting as we continue to look in that direction, discovering some of these resources that exist for exporting.
So when you went back to school, you went into the business channel, did you not?
My background is in international relations.
Yeah.
So I was on an international law track, and then I mastered in nonprofit management. So this is sort of an
Yeah.
MBA for nonprofits.
Yeah.
And then in South America, was working with this NGO and really seeing the inner workings of this group, and I was so inspired and thought they were just doing such a wonderful job from my perspective, having just come out of this program and seeing how efficiently the organization was run,
Mhm.
that I wanted to be part of it. And of course, the best way that I could see to do that was to start a social venture. That we are on the for-profit side of things. We kind of are, we walk that line
Mhm.
between the two
Mhm.
spaces.
An amazing company, an amazing story.
Thank
I
you.
have one final question for you,
Yes.
Jeff. If you could have dinner with anyone in the world, living or dead? Fictional. Who would you want to sit down and have dinner
Fictional.
with? Why not?
Fictional. Wow, that adds a twist.
I know it does. Stay with
Boy,
real. Stay with real.
Han Solo. Okay, no.
Oh,
Yes, somebody real. I have to say, I'd probably go with Steven Pinker. You're familiar with Steven Pinker? He's an evolutionary biologist at
yeah.
Harvard, and he
Yeah.
recently published a book called Enlightenment Now. Just a fascinating thinker and someone who I follow and really
Write that down.
uh, admire. So
Thank you.
that's the name that comes to mind. There
That's good.
are
That's
a
what I
lot of
wanted.
folks I'd like to have dinner with. Who would you pick, Diane? That's what I want to know.
I had it for a while and then I lost it. Um,
Are they living or were they dead or
oh,
fictional?
living, because I really,
Okay.
I really want to talk to somebody. Um,
Yeah.
I'm currently reading the Eric Larson book about Churchill. And I think, actually, no, dead, it's Churchill. I think I'd like to talk to Churchill
Yes.
because what he did was just so incredibly amazing. You know, he did it.
Mhm.
He, one person, and then they just dropped him like a hot potato. What a strange thing.
Right.
What's the name of Steven Pinker's book again?
His most recent book, I believe, is called Enlightenment Now. Churchill's definitely on the list.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
luminary. Yeah.
Um, all right, my friend. Thank you so much for coming on board. And
Sure.
all of your information will be available at the end of this. And we are absolutely delighted. And go get that peanut butter, people. You will not believe it. It's so amazing.
What an honor, Diane. Always great to see you.
Oh, it was great to see you too. Continued success to you.
Thank
And
you.
everybody, tune in again next. We are going to be talking to someone from Local First Arizona. We're going to be talking to Helene Tack about the green project they've
Love
got going
her.
there, which is very, very exciting. And in the meantime, people, please stay safe. Stay home if you can. And wash your hands. It's very, very simple. You don't need a lot of heavy duty chemicals. Wash your hands and wear a mask. Thank you. We'll see you again soon with Truce Talks.